The big meeting room was full of strange sounds and colors as hundreds of alien beings sat in their special chairs. Ambassador Jiwan walked slowly to the center of the room, where a bright light made her look small compared to all the giant creatures. Around her, she had been coming to these meetings for 10 years now, and every time the aliens asked humans to fix their problems today. Felt different, though. Today, Jiwan was not here to help or to make peace between fighting species. She was here to say goodbye forever. The room got quiet as she started to speak. Her voice was calm, but everyone could hear the anger hiding underneath. She looked up at the arachnoid prime speaker, who looked like a giant spider with too many eyes. The creature had been the one to blame humans for what happened on Kepler 442b just last week. That planet had been a mining colony where aliens dug up rare metals. The human scientists had warned everyone that the ground was not safe. They said the planet was shaking too much and the digging was making it worse, but the aliens did not listen. They wanted to get rich quick, and they thought humans were just being scared when the planet exploded and killed thousands of workers. The aliens needed someone to blame. They could not admit they were wrong, so they said it was the humans' fault for not warning them enough. Even though the humans had sent 50 different reports about the danger, Jiwan remembered how angry she felt when she heard the news. Captain Minho had been with her that day. He was a soldier who had fought in many battles to protect alien worlds. When he heard what the council said about humans being responsible for the deaths, his face became very hard. Now Minho stood behind Jiwan in the meeting room. His hand was near his weapon, but he did not touch it. He did not need to. Everyone could see that he was ready to fight if anyone tried to stop them from leaving. The spider alien clicked its mouth parts together, making a sound like breaking glass. "You cannot leave us," it said through the translation machine. "You signed papers that say you will help us. You promised to keep peace in the Galactic." Jiwan smiled, but it was not a nice smile. She had been waiting for this moment for a long time. "I read those papers very carefully," she said. "The papers say we will help you if you treat us fairly and with respect, but you have never done that. You use us like tools. Then you throw us away when something goes wrong." The room exploded with noise. Aliens were shouting in languages that hurt human ears. The crystal beings made high singing sounds that meant they were scared. The fish people from the water worlds were flashing bright colors on their skin, which meant they were angry. Some aliens threatened to use their armies against Earth. Others begged and promised to treat humans better in the future. But Jiwan had heard all these promises before. When humans died protecting alien worlds, the aliens said, "Thank you," and asked for more help. When humans invented new technology, the aliens took it and called it their own invention. The worst part was how the aliens treated human children. Earth had sent its best teachers to alien worlds to help educate young aliens, but when alien children needed medical care or protection, the aliens always came to humans for help. They never offered to help human children in return. Jiwan thought about her own daughter, who was studying to be a doctor. The girl wanted to help sick aliens just like her mother helped with politics. But why should human children waste their lives helping beings who would never appreciate them? Behind all the shouting and threatening, Jiwan could hear something else. Fear. The aliens were scared because they knew they could not survive without human help. For 50 years, humans had been solving every problem in the galaxy. When two species started fighting, humans came to make peace. When pirates attacked trade ships, humans sent their navy to stop them. When new diseases appeared, human doctors found the cure. The aliens had become like babies who could not take care of themselves. They expected humans to feed them and clean up their messes and protect them from danger, but they never said thank you. They just demanded more help. Captain Minho stepped forward and whispered something in Jiwan's ear. She nodded and looked around the room. One more time, all the alien faces were turned toward her. Some looked angry, some looked scared, but most looked desperate. They knew she was about to change everything. "The human race has made its decision," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. "We are done being your servants. We are done dying for your mistakes. We are done watching you take credit for our work. Starting today, all humans will return to Earth. We will not help you anymore. You are on your own." The silence that followed was the loudest sound Jiwan had ever heard. Even the machines that cleaned the air seemed to stop working. The aliens could not believe what they were hearing. For the first time in 50 years, they would have to solve their own problems. As Jiwan and Minho walked toward the door, aliens started following them. The spider creature scuttled on its many legs trying to catch up. Wait, it said, you cannot do this to us, we need you. Who will stop the war between the gas giants and the rock people? Who will fix our broken trade agreements? Who will explore the dangerous parts of Space Yuan? Did not turn around or slow down, that is your problem now, she said. Find your own solutions, fight your own wars, make your own peace. We are going home. The door closed behind them with a soft sound that seemed to echo through the entire galaxy. In meeting rooms and government buildings across 1,000 worlds, alien leaders were getting the same message. Humans were leaving and they were never coming back. As their ship flew away from the council station, Jiwan looked back at the place where she had spent so many years trying to help ungrateful aliens. She felt sad but also relieved. Finally, humans could focus on making their own lives better instead of fixing everyone else's problems. The galaxy was about to learn what it was like to live without human help, and the humans were about to show everyone what they could accomplish when they stopped being servants and started being themselves. Dr. Yunwu was looking at tiny alien bacteria through his microscope when the secret message arrived on his computer screen. The message was short, but he understood what it meant. Operation Homecoming Phase 1 had begun. It was time for all humans to come home. He looked around his laboratory at the alien scientists who worked with him. There was Glimmer, the crystal being who could see things humans could not see. There was Splash, the water creature who was very good at chemistry. There was Buzz, the insect person who never got tired of working. They had been his friends for 15 years, but friendship was not enough anymore. The alien governments had made it clear that they saw humans as servants, not equals. Now every human in the galaxy had to choose between staying and being treated badly or leaving and being free. Yunwu had helped make many important discoveries in this lab. He had found cures for diseases that killed millions of aliens. He had invented new ways to grow food in space. He had taught young alien scientists how to think like humans, but the alien governments always took credit for his work. They said the discoveries belonged to everyone, not to the humans who made them. The plan to bring all humans home had been secret for many months. Human leaders on Earth had been preparing for this day. They knew that someday the aliens would push too far and humans would have to leave, so they made careful plans to get every human out of alien space safely across the galaxy. The same thing was happening. Commander Taeyun was packing up the human embassy on the vegan homeworld. The vegans were traders who had become very rich by using human transportation. The human ships were faster and safer than any alien ships. The human pilots knew how to navigate through dangerous space that aliens were afraid to enter without humans. The vegan trade network would collapse in a few months. But that was their problem now, not humanity's problem. The vegan trade minister came to see Taeyun with tears in his 4 eyes. Please do not leave us, he said. We have made so much money together, we can share the profits with Yao. Taeyun shook his head. Money was not the problem. The problem was respect humans had been giving aliens their best technology, their smartest people, their bravest soldiers. What had aliens given humans in return? Nothing but demands for more help. The hardest part was leaving behind the few aliens who had tried to be real friends. Engineer Sun He had worked with a young crystal being called Prism for 3 years. Prism was different from other aliens. He actually cared about human culture. He had learned to understand human music and art. He had even learned to cook human food, but the decision had been made by the human government. No exceptions, no delays. Every human had to come home, even if it meant leaving friends behind. Prism came to say goodbye to Sun He. His crystal body was flashing sad blue colors. Why must you go? He asked. Have I done something wrong? Sun He felt her heart breaking. No, Prism, you have been a good friend. But your government has not been a good friend to my people. We cannot stay where we are not wanted. I want you to stay. Prism said. Cannot you stay just for? Masuni hugged the crystal being. Even though it was cold and hard, my people need me, she said. Maybe someday when your government learns to treat humans better, we can be friends again. As the human transport ships left alien space, they passed empty research stations and abandoned factories. Humans had built many things in alien territory, but they took only what belonged to them personally. Everything else was left behind. The aliens could keep the buildings and machines, but they did not have the knowledge to run them properly. Human engineers had not written down all their secrets. They had kept the important information in their heads, so when the humans left, the knowledge went with them on The planet Kepler 186, if there was a factory? That made medicine for a rare alien disease. Only humans knew how to make this medicine properly. The alien workers at the factory tried to keep making it, but without human supervision they made mistakes. The medicine they made did not work, and sick aliens started dying. The same thing happened everywhere. Trade routes that humans had designed became confused and ships got lost. Research projects that humans had started were left unfinished. Diplomatic agreements that humans had negotiated began to fall apart. Dr. Yunhua was on the last transport ship leaving the research station. As his ship flew toward Earth, he looked back at the laboratory where he had spent so many years. The aliens inside were probably trying to figure out how to use his equipment, but they would fail. His most important experiments required human intuition and creativity, things that could not be taught from books. Captain Loram was flying the transport ship full of human refugees. They were not really refugees because they were choosing to leave, but they felt like refugees because they were leaving behind their whole lives. Some humans were crying as they watched alien space disappear behind them. They had spent decades building relationships with aliens. They had alien friends, alien students, alien patients who needed them, but they could not stay where their own government did not support them. The alien governments had made their choice when they blamed humans for the mining disaster. They had shown that they would always see humans as convenient scapegoats. When things went well, aliens took the credit. When things went wrong, humans got the blame. Now, the aliens would have to learn to take responsibility for their own actions. As the last human ship left the Andromeda research station, the aliens inside realized what they had lost. The station was still there, but it was like a body without a soul. The humans had taken with them 50 years of knowledge and experience that could not be replaced. The galaxy was about to discover what it was like to live without human help, and the humans were about to discover what they could accomplish when they stopped working for others and started working for themselves. The great exodus was complete. Humanity was going home. President Yunji sat in her office on Earth reading reports from all over the galaxy. Only 3 months had passed since humans left alien space, but the effects were already showing. The galaxy was falling apart without human help. The spiral arm trade routes had completely stopped working. These were the main paths that trade ships used to travel between different parts of the galaxy. Human navigators had spent decades mapping these routes and finding the safest ways to travel through dangerous space. Now alien pilots were getting lost in asteroid fields and space storms. Admiral Deho called President Yunji from his command center on the moon. Sir, he said, the aliens are panicking. 17 different alien governments have sent ships to Earth begging us to come back. They are offering us everything they have. President Ongji was not surprised. The aliens had taken 50 years to realize how much they needed humans. Now they were desperate, but it was too late. Trust was like a broken mirror. You could put the pieces back together, but it would never be the same. What are they offering? She asked. Everything, Admiral Deho said. They want to give us full voting rights in their government. They want to give us entire star systems. They even want to share control of their military forces, but they still do not understand what they did wrong. The computer screen showed a map of the galaxy with different colored zones. Red zones meant there was fighting. Yellow zones meant the economy was falling apart. Green zones meant everything was okay. Most of the map was red and yellow. The worst fighting was happening between the methane breathers and the Silicon Collective. These two groups had been enemies for hundreds of years, but human diplomats had kept them from starting a real war. Now, without human peacekeepers, the old hatred was boiling over. The methane breathers lived on cold planets with poisonous air. The Silicon Collective were rock creatures who lived in the hot cores of planets. They both wanted to control the same mining systems in the neutral zone between their territories. Decades human mediators had helped them share the resources and settle their disputes peacefully, but humans were no longer available to solve their problems, so the two groups started fighting. The war was spreading to other star systems, and innocent aliens were getting hurt. President Yunji felt sad when she read about the fighting. Humans did not want aliens to suffer, but the aliens had to learn to solve their own problems. They could not depend on humans forever. Meanwhile, human space was doing better than ever. Dr. Jisiok had invented a new way for ships to talk to each other across long distances. His invention was much better than the expensive alien communication systems. The new human technology was faster, cheaper, and more reliable. Captain Mikyung was leading exploration missions to find new planets for humans to live on. Her ships were discovering amazing new worlds and resources. The human exploration program was moving faster than any alien exploration had ever moved. The aliens were trying to copy human technology, but they were failing badly. Their machines had been designed to work with human help. They did not understand the principles behind human inventions. They only knew how to use them, not how to build them. Commander Jinwoo was monitoring alien communications from a secret listening post. He reported that alien scientists were becoming desperate. They were taking apart human machines, trying to figure out how they worked. But without human knowledge, they were just breaking expensive equipment, sir, he said. The crystalline collective tried to rebuild one of our medical scanners. They broke it, and now they cannot heal their sick people. The Aquatic Federation tried to copy our water purification system, but they poisoned their own water supply. President Yunji shook her head. The aliens had always assumed that human technology was simple because humans shared it freely. They did not realize that human generosity was hiding incredible complexity. The economic problems were getting worse too. The galactic economy had been built around human efficiency and innovation. Human traders knew the best routes. Human manufacturers made the highest quality products. Human farmers grew the most food per acre. Without humans, the alien economy was collapsing. Prices were going up, quality was going down, and many aliens were losing their jobs. The aliens who had gotten rich by using human labor were now going bankrupt. Some alien species were trying to force other aliens to do the jobs that humans used to do. But most aliens were not as smart or hardworking as humans. They could not maintain the same standards that humans had set. The insectoid hive had tried to replace human mechanics with their own workers. But insectoid mechanics did not understand human engineering. Their ships kept breaking down and crashing. Some insectoid colonies were completely cut off from the rest of their civilization. The most frightening reports came from the deep space monitoring network. Human scientists had been watching the edges of the galaxy for signs of unknown alien civilizations. There were dangerous things out there in the dark spaces between stars, things that most aliens were too afraid to investigate. But humans were not afraid. They had been pushing the boundaries of known space for decades, mapping new territories and making contact with strange new species. Now that exploration had stopped, the galaxy was blind to threats that might be coming from the unknown regions. President Unji received a report that made her blood run cold. An alien probe had detected something moving in the dark sector, a region of space that humans had been planning to explore. The probe was destroyed before it could send back much information. But what it did send was terrifying. Without human explorers, the galaxy would never know what was out there waiting in the darkness. The aliens were finally starting to understand what they had lost. But understanding was not enough. They had broken the trust between humans and aliens. When you treat someone like a servant for 50 years, you cannot expect them to forgive you with a few desperate offers. Communications Officer Yaman brought President Yunji a message that was different from all the others. It was not from an alien government. It was from ordinary alien citizens whose lives had been destroyed by the human withdrawal. The message was simple and heartbreaking. Please, come back, they said. We know our governments treated you badly, but we need you. We cannot survive without your help. President Yunji felt tears in her eyes as she read the message. These aliens had done nothing wrong. They were just ordinary people trying to live their lives. But they were suffering because of what their governments had done. She wanted to help them, but she could not. The decision had been made by all of humanity together. They would not go back to being servants. They would not sacrifice their own future to fix alien problems. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson about consequences when you take someone for granted. You might lose them forever. The aliens had assumed humans would always be there to help them. Now they were discovering what the universe was like without human protection. As President Unji looked out at the stars, she wondered if the aliens would ever learn to solve their own problems, or if they would destroy themselves trying to live without the humans they had driven away. The ripple effects were still spreading across the galaxy, and no one knew where they would end. The attack came without warning on a quiet Tuesday morning. Captain Yuna was patrolling the edge of human space when her communications officer received a distress signal from New Jeju colony, the signal was weak and full of static, but the message was clear. Help us, they are taking everyone. New Jeju was a farming colony where humans grew food for Earth. The colony was small and peaceful, with only 5,000 people living there. Most of them were families with children who had never seen war or violence. They thought they were safe so far from the main trade routes, but someone had found them. Captain Yuna's ship, the Defender, reached New Jeju 4 hours after the distress call. When they arrived, the colony was burning. Buildings were destroyed, crops were trampled, and there were no signs of life anywhere. Lieutenant Jinho led the search team that went down to the surface. What they found made even experienced soldiers feel sick. The attackers had not just taken prisoners, they had destroyed everything they could not steal. They had killed the farm animals, burned the food stores, and even destroyed the children's playground. But the worst part was the message they had left behind, carved into the wall of the main building, were symbols that every human recognized: insectoid battle marks. The giant bug creatures had been here, and they had taken every human they could find. We found tracks leading to the landing field. Lieutenant Jinho reported. His voice was shaking with anger. They had big ships, maybe 20 of them. They took everyone who was alive and killed everyone who resisted. Captain Yuna felt something cold and hard growing in her chest. For 50 years humans had been patient and forgiving when aliens made mistakes. They had always tried to understand alien cultures and find peaceful solutions to problems. But kidnapping human children was not a mistake. It was an act of war. The insectoids had made the worst possible choice. They had forgotten that humans were not just peaceful farmers and scientists, they were also warriors who would do anything to protect their families. The news of the New Jeju attack spread through human space like wildfire. Admiral Minsu was in command of the Earth Defense Fleet, and when he heard what had happened, his face became as hard as stone. This is not a political disagreement, he told his officers. This is not a trade dispute. This is an attack on human families. They took our children. Now they will learn what happens when you threaten the human race. The response was swift and terrible. The insectoids had thought they were being clever by taking human hostages. They planned to demand that humans return to their old jobs in exchange for the prisoners, but they had not considered what humans were capable of. When truly angry, Admiral Minsu did not send negotiators or diplomats. He sent warships, the insectoid fleet that had attacked New Jeju was tracked to their secret base in the Kepler system. Within 6 hours, the entire base was destroyed. No warnings were given. No surrender was accepted. The alien ships were torn apart by weapons that should not have existed. Human technology had always seemed peaceful and helpful, but now the galaxy saw what human weapons could really do. When humans stopped holding back, they were more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The rescue mission to save the New Jeju prisoners was led by Major Seo Yoon. She commanded a team of special forces soldiers who had trained for exactly this kind of operation. They moved like ghosts through the insectoid stronghold, killing guards and freeing prisoners. The operation took less than 4 hours from start to finish. Every single human prisoner was rescued alive. Major Seo Yoon made sure that no insectoid survived to tell others what they had seen. Human mercy had limits, and the insectoids had crossed them. When the rescue ships returned to Earth, the freed prisoners told their story. The insectoids had planned to use them as slaves to replace the human workers who had left. They thought humans were weak because they had always been so willing to help others, but the prisoners had also overheard the insectoids talking about their plans. They were not the only ones. Several other alien species were planning similar attacks. They all thought they could force humans to return by taking hostages. The galaxy was about to learn how wrong they were. The destruction of the insectoid fleet sent a clear message to every alien civilization: attacking humans was no longer a political decision with diplomatic consequences. It was a death sentence. The species that had once been known for their patience and kindness were revealing their true nature. The Draconids had been preparing their own attack on human settlements, but when they saw what happened to the insectoids, they quietly abandoned their plans. The dragon-like aliens were proud warriors, but they were not stupid. They could recognize a superior predator when they saw one. The Crystalline Collective used their advanced computers to calculate the odds of successfully forcing human cooperation. The results were so one-sided that they immediately sent messages to all their allies warning them not to provoke humans, but not all aliens were smart enough to learn from the insectoids' mistake. The Arachnoid Imperium was desperate. Their trade empire was collapsing. Without human help, their people were starving because they could not grow enough food. Without human farming techniques, the spider-like aliens decided that they had nothing left to lose. They began reaching out to other struggling alien species, offering to share the benefits if they would join an alliance against humanity. The Aquatic Federation agreed to help because their underwater cities were failing without human engineering. The methane breathers joined because they needed human technology to survive in their harsh environment. Several smaller alien species also agreed to participate. They called themselves the Reunification Alliance, and they began building the largest military force in galactic history. They were planning to attack human space with overwhelming numbers, hoping to capture enough humans to force the rest to surrender, but they had made a fundamental mistake. They still thought of humans as the peaceful, helpful species they had known for 50 years. They had no idea what humans were really capable of when they stopped pretending to be harmless. General Xianwu was watching the alien alliance grow from his command center on the moon. He could have stopped them at any time, but he wanted to see how far they would go. He wanted the galaxy to understand once and for all that humans were not victims to be bullied. The aliens think they are hunters, he told his staff, but they are about to discover that they are actually prey. As the Reunification Alliance prepared for war, human scientists were working around the clock to prepare new weapons and defenses. The technology they were building would shock the galaxy and change the balance of power forever. Hunt was beginning, but the aliens had no idea who was really hunting whom. The Reunification Alliance had gathered the most powerful war fleet in the history of the galaxy. 3,000 ships from 12 different alien species hung in space like a dark cloud of death. They carried weapons that could destroy entire planets and armies that numbered in the millions. Admiral Clicks in Darkness commanded the fleet from his flagship. The insectoid leader had seen his people suffer terribly since the humans left. Without human help, his colonies were failing and his people were dying. He believed that forcing humans to return was the only way to save his species. We outnumber them 15 to 1, he told his alien allies through the communication system. Our combined fleets are stronger than anything the humans have ever built. They cannot stand against us. The other alien commanders agreed. The arachnoid ships were armed with web weapons that could capture entire fleets. The Aquatic Federation brought ships that could fight underwater and in space. The methane breathers had ice weapons that could freeze human ships solid, but General Xianwu was not worried as he watched the alien armada approach Earth. He stood in the command center of Fortress Luna looking at the enemy fleet through the big viewing screen. His staff officers were calm and ready. The humans had been preparing for this moment for months. They still do not understand, he said quietly to his second-in-command, Captain Wusong. They think this is about numbers and weapons. They think war is about who has the biggest fleet. The human response seemed laughably small compared to the alien armada. Only 200 ships moved out to meet the enemy. The flagship Indomitable led the human fleet with Captain King Ho in command. The alien leaders celebrated when they saw how few ships the humans had sent. We have them outnumbered 15 to 1. Admiral Clicks in Darkness transmitted to his fleet, "This will be an easy victory. Prepare to capture as many human ships as possible. We need their crews alive to serve us." But as the two fleets approached each other, something strange began to happen. The human ships started to flicker and blur like they were not completely real. Some ships seemed to disappear entirely only to reappear somewhere else entirely. The alien weapons fired first. Their plasma cannons and missile launchers sent deadly streams of energy toward the human fleet. The aliens expected to see human ships explode and burn, but nothing happened. The human ships absorbed the attack like it was nothing more than a gentle breeze. Captain King Ho opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. "This is the Terran Defense Force," he said in a calm voice. "You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and leave human space. This is your only warning." Admiral Clicks in Darkness could not believe what he was seeing. His most powerful weapons were having no effect on the human ships. Meanwhile, the human fleet was doing something impossible. Some ships were passing through solid matter, while others seemed to exist in multiple places at once. "Impossible," he transmitted back to Captain King Ho. Our intelligence report showed your military capabilities. You cannot have advanced this far in only months. Your intelligence was based on what we allowed you to see, Captain King Ho replied. Did you really think we would show you our true capabilities while we were pretending to be your friends? The truth hit the alien fleet like a physical blow. For 50 years, humans had been hiding their real technology. They had been pretending to be weak and peaceful while secretly developing weapons and defenses that were beyond alien understanding. The human ships were not just using better weapons, they were using completely different principles of physics. The aliens watched in horror as human vessels phased in and out of normal space, moved faster than light without using hyperspace drives, and passed through solid matter like it was empty air. One by one, the alien ships began to lose power, not from damage but from some kind of energy drain that the humans were causing. The mighty war fleet that had seemed so powerful just minutes ago was now helpless, drifting in space like broken toys. We surrender. Admiral Clicks in darkness finally transmitted. His pride was destroyed along with his fleet. We surrender. Please do not destroy us. Captain Kyung Ho could have wiped out the entire alien armada in seconds, but humans had not changed completely. They still believed in mercy even for enemies who had threatened their children. Your ships will be escorted to the edge of human space, he said. Any vessel that tries to return will be destroyed without warning. The alien retreat was chaos. Ships collided with each other in their hurry to escape. Some captains abandoned their crews and fled in escape pods. Others tried to fight, but their weapons were useless against human technology. The psychological impact was devastating. Every alien species in the galaxy realized that they had been living under the protection of beings far more powerful than they had ever imagined. The humans had not needed alien help to survive. The aliens had needed human restraint to avoid being conquered. News of the battle spread through the galaxy faster than light. Within hours, every alien government knew what had happened. The species they had dismissed as young and inexperienced had revealed themselves to be the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Crystalline Collective immediately sent messages to Earth, begging for forgiveness. The Aquatic Federation offered to surrender their entire territory to human control. The methane breathers promised to serve humans faithfully if they would just not attack their homeworld, but the humans did not want to conquer anyone. They just wanted to be left alone to build their own future. The message was clear: humans could have ruled the galaxy at any time, but they chose not to. They had been holding back not because they were weak, but because they were kind. The battle had lasted only 17 minutes, but it changed everything. The old order where aliens could take human help for granted was gone forever now. Every alien species knew that humans were not servants or tools. They were the apex predators of the galaxy. As the last alien ship disappeared from human space, General Xianwu allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy had forced humans to reveal their true nature. Now they would have to live with the consequences of that knowledge. The war that was supposed to restore alien control over humans had instead shown the galaxy who was really in charge. And the answer was terrifying for everyone except humanity. Captain Kyung Ho sent a final message to the retreating alien fleet. You came here to force us to serve you, he said, but you have only proven that we never needed you at all. We were helping you out of kindness, not necessity. Remember that the next time you think about threatening human lives. The human fleet returned to Earth, victorious, but there was no celebration. The victory had been too easy, too one-sided. It was like adults defeating children in a game. There was no honor in it, only sadness that it had been necessary. The galaxy was learning a new lesson about humanity. They were not just the most advanced species in the galaxy, they were also the most dangerous, and they had been living among the aliens for 50 years, pretending to be harmless. The war that was not a war was over, but its effects would last forever. 2 years had passed since the Great Battle, and the galaxy looked completely different. The old Galactic Council was gone, replaced by small groups of alien species who were trying to survive on their own. The grand meeting halls where thousands of aliens once gathered were now empty, and Dark Ambassador Jiwan stood in a much smaller meeting room on a space station at the edge of human territory. The few dozen aliens who sat before her looked nervous and scared. They were not the proud leaders who had once dismissed human concerns. These were humble representatives who weighed every word carefully. The Terran Federation is willing to resume limited cooperation, Zhuan announced. Her words carried more weight than any human statement had ever possessed before, but the terms will be very different from our previous arrangements. The new agreements were simple and clear. Humans would provide assistance when asked, but only on their own terms. They would share technology and knowledge, but only in exchange for genuine partnership. They would help maintain galactic peace, but only as equals, never as servants. Most importantly, human space was now absolutely forbidden to aliens. No alien vessel could enter without explicit permission from Earth. No alien government could make demands or requests without going through proper diplomatic channels. The galaxy had learned to respect human boundaries, because they had seen what happened when those boundaries were crossed. The Arhyunwu now directed the human research program from a beautiful new laboratory on Mars. He received requests for collaboration from alien scientists every day, but the relationship had changed completely. Where once humans had been expected to share their discoveries freely, now aliens had to prove they were worthy partners. The most advanced human technologies remained secret, available only to humanity's closest allies. The few alien species that had treated humans with respect before the withdrawal were allowed to see some of the new inventions, but most aliens were kept in the dark about what humans were really capable of. The galaxy had also been forced to solve its own problems without human mediators. To rely on alien species had to develop their own diplomatic skills. Wars still happened, but they were smaller and ended more quickly because the aliens knew no one would come to help them. The Draconids and the Insectoids had been fighting over mining rights for 6 months. They had both sent messages to Earth begging for human mediation, but humans had refused to get involved. Eventually, the two species had to sit down and negotiate a settlement themselves. It was not as elegant as the solutions human diplomats used to create, but it worked. The aliens were learning to be responsible for their own choices. Trade had also changed dramatically. The old trade networks that depended on human transportation and logistics had collapsed. New, smaller networks had formed based on what aliens could actually do for themselves. The Crystalline Collective had become very good at making computer chips. The Aquatic Federation had learned to farm underwater plants that other aliens wanted to buy. The methane breathers had developed new ways to extract energy from ice and gas, but all of these alien achievements were modest compared to what humans were accomplishing in their own space, free from the obligation to solve everyone else's problems. Human scientists and engineers were making breakthrough discoveries every month. Captain McYoung had discovered 3 new star systems with planets suitable for human colonization. Her exploration teams were moving faster and farther